Jeff Jahmal here from discoverdouble-bass.com, which is the home of online learning for double bass players. We've got courses, masterclasses, everything you need if you're a double bass player, classical, jazz, bluegrass, whatever, to help you on your journey to play your best music. We're there and we'd love to welcome you to our community. So go and check out the website. But today we are continuing on with our interview series where I get to meet my favourite bass players and share their music with you. So what better thing could I think about doing with my day? This artist is a 3 times Grammy nominated, Emmy Award-winning composer, so Grammys for bass playing, Emmy Award for the composition, and they are known as really a sideman to some incredible artists. I'm thinking of Lakeisha Benjamin, Sean Jones, Fontella Bass, just to name but a few, but they are particularly well known for their decade-long, or even longer, association with the legendary singer Gregory Porter. So it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome to Discover Double Bass. It's Jahmal Nichols. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Well, it's just incredible that you happen to be here in Leeds. You're on this huge tour at the moment. You've got some big dates coming up. Do you say you're going to be playing at the Royal Albert Hall in London?
Yeah, next week, all next week. Monday, Tuesday, I think off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So yeah.
Wow. And how's the tour going? Has you been off to a good start?
It's going good so far. 3 cities so far. Well, 3 shows so far. So 2 cities, 3 shows. First one was Brighton, and the next one was Birmingham.
Well, I heard on the grapevine there was a bass incident in the middle. Tell us about this, what happened in the middle of your bass solo? I want to hear.
Yes, it was during the bass solo in the middle, and I felt, sometimes you could feel the bass slipping. So the volume was dropping out and everything. I was like, so the sound post was going, I was like, I guess I got to ride it out. And I was like, I'm digging in because she was singing.
Yeah.
It was like, pop. And I was like, put it down and picked up the electric bass and started finishing, and I had to finish the solo, and it was mid-solo. It got good to me, and I was like, oh. Even the crowd was like, oh no. So yeah, it was interesting.
Was it just the bridge that had slipped out?
Yeah, the bridge slipped and the sound post. That was it. So it was a quick fix. It was a quick fix, so yeah.
What's it like, as a sideman, and as a touring artist, actually, I'm really thinking of, you're playing a lot of different instruments. You've just come in here. Now, you've been in this room for about 10 minutes, and you've played this bass, and it sounds incredible already. How do you go about finding, like connecting with a new instrument and finding your way around?
It's funny you asked that because I compare it to going on a blind date every night.
Oh,
because every night I walk into a room and there's a new instrument laying there I've never seen, I've never played it before. Yeah. So in sound check, this is our time to have a conversation to see if this is going to work for both of us tonight. And, sometimes she's beautiful. Sometimes they're not so beautiful. Yeah. But then it's like when you get to playing them, it's like, okay, here we go. I know where the notes, generally are. So it's like, okay, find out where the harmonics are for me, and I So I just figure out where I am, doing what I can and can't do.
Do you find going in thumb position and the neck heel a challenge? Because I find that with the basses that trip me up are the ones that have the slightly funky stops that are not really a D or an E flat.
And then each bass, and what I've learned over time, each bass will give you signals to where the notes are. Like even just with the lines on the side, I just look and I'm like, okay. That's where, E is or D or anything like that. It's like, okay, if I just want to play in closed position or anything like open, but it's like, okay. And then thumb position, I try to, I'll go there sometimes. It just depends on how I feel. It's like, sometimes it's like I'll overshoot it. It's like, okay, it happens. But that's the beauty of live music.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And I think it must be so exciting to get to play these different instruments. And,
yes. I played 200-year-old basses to brand new basses that look like a coffee table.
Which ones are the better ones?
Man, it's a toss up because I've had some older ones that were that wasn't good at all, but then some newer ones that were great. Like you have the Shins, for instance. They have a consistency to them, and it's like okay, I could get through the gig with this. But then you have some that are older that are very temperamental, where you got to put towels and everything else in there, and it's like, okay, we're gonna back off. I'm gonna let you breathe a little bit.
And maybe your solo is going to be in the lower register.
Right. It's like, okay, I'm not going past G.
But it's these creative things though that like you play with what you have, and I always love that about you play your beautiful Anaconda 5-string, and you can have this with this range that goes right the way up for the double octave or whatever. But when you get a Fender, you go back to a Fender Jazz and it's got that E flat at the top. It's like that. The restriction, I love it. And the change.
It's like that. I love that too.
Yeah, and maybe you could share a little bit about what you do then for the people at home. I've given you my introduction, but you're really known, particularly at the moment, as a touring artist. Because am I right in thinking, has it been 10 years with Gregory Porter?
Yeah, it's been over 10 years. Over 10 years.
And is that your main gig? What does your work life look like?
Oh yeah. This is my main gig. It's been my main gig, but then also fill in different gigs as whenever I become free with Gregory. Like I've worked with Somi, another vocalist, amazing vocalist, Somi. Lakeisha Benjamin done recordings and amazing live stuff. Yes, she is. Let's see, and also like whenever I'm home in St. Louis, Missouri, I'll do the big jazz club that we have there called Jazz St. Louis, and like different artists will come in. Like I'd also do stuff with Peter Martin and those guys over at Open Studio, stuff
doing
like
some great stuff. Tom,
Adam Manis, Adam Manis and Bob DeBoo on bass. Yeah, whenever you know,
Bob has the coolest name because his name kind of sounds like a bass line. It's
yes,
sort of like, I think Bob's got a pretty cool name. But whatever you guys are doing over there, it's great, and the Open Studio stuff is cooking. And I saw a performance you did with Adam on piano where you were promoting it's like a launch party for Black Frequencies, which is your last record.
Yeah, man.
And so you spend a lot of time between St. Louis and on the road. How many kind of shows are you doing then with Gregory Porter?
Before the pandemic, we were doing 225 plus dates a year. After the pandemic, now it's a little less, but it's still up there.
Yeah.
So that, and then the stuff that I do at home with my own project, Black Frequencies, like you said.
Yeah.
Also, other people. So I kind of stay busy throughout the year, which is a blessing.
Yeah, it's always such a joy that people want us to join them and make music and share it. And I hear that in what you do. It kind of comes out of you. And I think it must be so important to be on a tour with someone like Gregory Porter with such a killing band.
Man. And that band is very close knit too.
Is it?
Because Emmanuel Harold, who's the drummer, and myself, we grew up as kids playing. And throughout high school and stuff like that, and into our older ages and stuff like that, and then Chip Crawford, the pianist, he was my jazz theory instructor in college in North Carolina Central. So those guys, it's a very close knit band. So we're basically family. It's like we're brothers. We see more of each other than we do our own actual families.
But are you touring the world? Is there a kind of play? I mean, you do a lot of dates in the UK. Like, you guys are a popular band here. Not everyone gets to play the Royal Albert Hall and Glastonbury.
Yeah, man.
Hey, what was Glastonbury like?
I remember my first time doing Glastonbury. I was like, oh wow! I was like, it was in the middle of nowhere. It was like, whoa! It was muddy. Everything. I was like, I don't want to mess up my shoes.
You got some good shoes.
But no, it was amazing. Like. We went on early in the day, and it was still like 40, 50,000 people out there, and it was just like, wow.
Was that a special moment for you all?
It is. It was. It was very fun. We played, man. It was amazing. Like I think we only played an hour, but it was like the shortest hour that you could ever think of. It was like, oh, we're done. Okay, So Greg was like, play the song.
It must be so cool to be playing with such a great group of people. And tell me, how did you get to be part of that family? Like, how did it come together?
Okay, so I'm not the original bass player. Aaron James was the original bassist. And so when Aaron James stepped away, Emmanuel Harold gave me a call. He referred me, and with the referral of Chip Crawford, they both knew me. So they say, man, Maul, come on out. They call me Maul for short. Instead of Jahmal, they call me Maul.
Okay.
And so yeah, man, come on, if you could come on out for this thing, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And fast forward, Gregory enjoyed my playing. So, I've been here since. So,
Wow.
I'm very fortunate for those guys and for Gregory for having me on.
Yeah, that is really, really, it's a cool thing. And I think I love the way that when you're playing with Gregory, that you are leaving nothing, you are giving it everything.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you could maybe speak about how you're approaching your playing, because I think rhythmically and harmonically, your ideas are so strong. They just keep pushing forward, and I really hear that. And I was checking out a solo that you did with it was like an open E kind of thing, E minor kind of thing, and then you kick into Papa is a Rolling Stone, and it's so I just love that, the way that you bring that. I wonder if you could maybe speak about. So it's a broad question, isn't it? But
man, so with me, my playing in general. I necessarily I didn't grow up with a bass teacher.
Okay.
So when I first started playing, I started playing at 14, which is late for...
Was that electrical, right? Both?
Both, actually.
Yeah.
Mainly electric, but I did start off in the summertime on upright, and then switched to electric, then switched back to upright. So I was going back and forth. But my teacher was a guitarist.
Okay.
So he, it's a difference between playing guitar and bass, of course, but he helped me theory-wise playing the bass. So I, owe him all of that for that. And then when I went to college, I had a partial teacher. His name is John Brown.
Okay.
And he used to play with Elvin Jones and a lot of folks back in the day, Nina Freelon and all those guys, and he wasn't too much older than I was at that time, and he was trying to take the bar at Duke University.
Okay.
So he was doing the law thing.
Yeah.
So and I went to school also in college with Salim, who was Roy Hargrove's bassist for years and played with a lot of people. So
what kind of stuff are you working on with John Brown, you say?
Yeah, John Brown.
He's taking you on, and you've learned this theory, the theory. I mean, I guess it was the chords with the guitar teacher earlier on. You're understanding what chord tones fit with what note, scales and things. What did John really want from you to tidy you up?
He wanted me to more so be myself. He wanted me to find myself. And so within that, I was like, okay, who am I? And so I've developed groove. My thing is groove and the feel. I want people to feel the bass. I want them to feel me. I want them to feel the notes, whether they're wrong or right. You're gonna feel it. So it's like, okay, and I have meaning and purpose behind every note that I play. It's like, okay, wow, because it could be, I could play. Something like that. So it's like, whether it's walking or even if it's just a groove. Something like that.
It's so strong and it just speaks to me all the way through. You've got me. I'm listening.
Yes.
I'm excited about what you're playing and what's coming next.
And also another St. Louis in East St. Louis, and his name was Carlos Henderson. He spoke to me when I was a young kid, also in high school.
Okay.
He would tell me, he just said, man, I love the stuff that you're playing. I just can't hear you. So develop a sound. And I was like, how do I do that? And so over time, I would just listen to bassists like Christian McBride and Ray Brown, mainly. Those two, and Paul Chambers. Mainly those three guys. And I was just like, okay. So with Ray, what can you say about Ray? know, stuff like that. So it's like, dude, you know, and McBride is McBride. And he, you know, I would learn stuff from him. Like when I got the chance to really talk to him, also, he would just tell me, like, when I was younger, he said, man, stop making your E string spit so much. And I was like, he's like, because you hear more of the spit than you do the note. Because, you know, cats, you know, get to digging in. When you hear more click. You know, stuff like that. You know, you could always do that for action, but it's like, you know, stuff like
so how did you get to meet these, you know, like Christian and you know, these giants, these bass players? Like, maybe you could speak about some of the teachers that you've had, and I don't know how you've come into contact with them.
Man,
or
I first
played
met
for people.
I would first meet these guys in St. Louis at Jazz St. Louis Club. It was called Jazz at the Bistro back then, but like I was underage, but I would just sneak in, not even sneak in, but I would wait until they would go to sound check. And I would be there early just to speak to them, you know, and just ask them many questions and stuff like that. McBride and guys like that, they just remembered me from those days. And so when I got older, you know, and they see me, you know, they always keep in touch, or I would always keep in touch and everything else like that. So it's just a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet any of the kind of elder generation? I'm thinking about people like Ray Brown. Was that ever something that was able to happen? Because you must have been close to that.
No, I actually never met Ray. I never met Mr. Brown because,
not
not like that. So it was funny. How I met him I met him in passing. Where the club is in St. Louis, where everybody would play, come in town to play, was right here. So I'm driving on the street and I see somebody walking by. I wasn't thinking at the time. I see somebody walking, I'm like 16, 17 at the time. I see somebody walking with an upright bass to the apartments across the street where they would stay. And I was like, I wonder who that is. And then the symphony's right there. I was like, no, I don't think that's a symphony player. And then it clicked to me as soon as I drove past the light. I was like, oh, snap, that's Ray Brown. And so I stopped the car, jumped out the car, and I yelled, Mr. Brown, I love you. Thank you. And he raved and everything. And yeah, he waved to me and everything. And so I just kept it rolling. You know, I didn't want to stop him. It was cold outside that night too. So I was like, yeah, let me just keep going.
Oh, what a lovely thing.
So, yeah,
that is such a cool connection.
Yeah, so I know later on this year we'll be doing a cruise from Vancouver to California, and Mr. Ron Carter will be on there. So I really want to meet him because like he's, you know, recorded on so much stuff, and I've learned a lot from him also, you know, listening to him, you know, and even the stuff that he did with Roberta Flack.
Of course. So
yeah, it's like, you know, from that bass line, you know, it's like, dude, that's a classic bass line.
He's done some, I love all of his recorded work. I love those albums with Jim Hall, but all the CTI period, all those records,
yes.
So much. And I mean, he's a giant of this world.
Right.
You know, what a joy it's going to be to meet him and hang out on that cruise.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I get to meet the maestro. So yes, I cannot wait for that.
And what about those records when you were younger that you were really excited about, with you know, and the connection to the bass? I know that your father was a bass player. Maybe you could speak a bit about that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
other people
yeah.
in your...
Yeah, so my dad, he never really formally showed me anything because he's an ear player.
Okay.
He plays by ear and only plays electric. And so, but I used to watch him all the time, whether he's in a rehearsal or on a gig or at church playing. I'm just sitting there watching him. So, you know, people always talk about my smile and the bass faces that I may make, you know, while I'm playing. I get it all from him.
Is he full of joy?
He is. He full, you know, he grooves, you know, he get to doing the bass face stuff. And like he introduced me to James Jamerson.
Oh yeah.
And Marcus Miller. So those guys, I was like, okay. And then later he introduced me to Victor Wooten also. So I was like, oh man, you know, and back then Victor was doing a lot of stuff with Bella Fleck. And so I was like, oh man, he took me to a Bella Fleck concert blew my mind, and I was like, the virtuosity of Victor, the way he plays, and then he went and played cello in the set too. I was like, what is this? So no, and those guys, man, I have love and respect and admiration for all of those guys, especially Jameson, like with the foundation of what he did with the Motown sound. And the stuff like he just did with one finger, and it's like, and even with the upright stuff, it's like, dude, come on, like you can't, like that, you can't get any better than that. Then I eventually moved on to like, those guys are still part of my practice repertoire and stuff like that. And then you have Larry Graham, Jocko, Louis Johnson, all of those guys. Electric bass. I mean, I could say, for me, electric bass is one of those foundations where, I try to merge both electric and upright together in my playing. Whether it's, when I'm playing jazz. So when you hear me play upright, it's sometimes you don't think that I can play electric. But then when you hear me play electric, you don't think I play upright at all. So it's like, whoa. And so I try to join those two worlds together.
Honestly, you are in a very select group, because people like John Patitucci, Brian Bromberg, they can play upright and they can really play electric, but there aren't many people. A lot of people who kind of double. They're maybe more on an electric playing. They play a bit of upright for the show, whatever. Yep. But you are actually like really a strong voice in both worlds.
Thank you so much.
It's an incredible thing. I mean, how do you find, I was once at a workshop many years ago. Someone asked this question. They said, how do you cope playing with both things? And he said, it feels like, playing upright, playing electric, I've got two girlfriends and they both hate me. And I was saying, and
I like that.
It always stuck in my mind. I don't know who it was, some guy in the audience.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's a cool line.
Yeah.
But how do you find, this?
Man, I might have to echo that, but at the same time, you have to find the balance between the two. And with me, for a while, it took me a while to figure it out, because if I was off on one for a long amount of time, then my chops would suffer. So it's like, okay, but it's like I take the concept, I merge the concept together, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, because if you hear me play electric, I don't play it as hard or attack it like I'm playing this instrument here. So it's like a softer feel, a softer touch and everything else, a softer approach. But even when I go to soloing and everything else like that, I get more digging in. And I try to, like when I solo on electric bass, I try to deal with more like effects pedals and stuff like that, like envelope filters and octaves and stuff like that. So I really try to dig into the essence of like, how far can I push this instrument? And this one, I mean, you can't speak for it, but I mean, it's like, it's just raw, it's just that raw, pure tone. And so it's like, okay, let's see, what can I do here to make electric and upright merge? And so, like I said, I'm a groove oriented guy. So that's where, you have to know how to groove on both. You're a bass player. You got to groove. You got to hold out. Everybody's relying on you. So it's like, so you got to be a blanket and just try not to get in the way. People can play all the right notes, but the notes are right, but the groove may be wrong.
I hear in your electric playing, kind of like a modern sort of sound players. I'm thinking about more of the modern gospel scene. Thaddeus Trebet, Sheree
those
Reed.
Guys, man, those guys, man.
And the way that I don't know. Has the church been part of your musical background?
It has. Yes, it has. I didn't start off in church. That was the crazy part, because a lot of people that I know, friends that I know and grew up with, they started off in church. I started off more so on the jazz side of things, classical side of things a little bit. And then I didn't start playing in the church until I got into college in North Carolina. So started, growing up around that community, and it's like, okay, and learning, the John P. Keys early stuff, and the Mississippi Mass Choir, Andrew Goucher, and the Joel Smith even on bass. Yeah. And, Daryl Freeman's, and, all these guys, man, I just listened to them, and I'm just like, okay, I didn't take everything that they did, but I took some of the stuff that they did and tried to make it into my own. Because that's, for me, having your own voice on this instrument is essential as a bassist. And so, you know, because people could tell, okay, in a couple of notes who that is. It's like, okay, that's what's the face, okay. And you know, those guys, you know, from the Derek Hodges to it's like, you know, like you said, a select few that can play both, you know, Berners Travis, all those guys, you know, so it's like, okay. Desron also, you know, so
Douglas, yeah.
man, dude, so yeah, so I try to the gospel singers, Sheree Reed, yes, one of the, you know, legends. These guys are legends that you're mentioning. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Being able to kind of like step in and out of all this great music that we get to play. And then when you're putting it together in your own band, because you're not just known as someone who's out there touring as a sideman, you've also produced your own music. And the first album, Two Worlds, what is it? One
Mind. Yeah.
One Mind. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Two Worlds, One Mind. And that opens with this like really hip sounding upright, and then you literally stop, and then it kicks into this. I mean, to me, it's like it's the start of your introduction to you know, to the world as an artist. You know, not just as a sideman, as you're laying it out there, all in this one track. It's like, how was that? Because that was back in 2014.
Yeah, 2014.
How did, reflecting back on that experience, putting it all together yourself, how was that?
Man, that was my first time as a like doing my own solo project and being like me and the main producer over it. And I want to tell you a secret. All the bass lines on that record are demos. I forgot to go back and record the final bass lines. And so I was like, oh man, wait a minute. And I was like, I wasn't supposed to play that. Wait a minute. So no, it was fun, you know, and it was a learning experience. Yeah. You know, with that first track that you mentioned, Two Worlds, One Mind, dude, that was on the spot idea that just happened. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and see what I could do to introduce this record. And so started, like you said, started off with, you know, wait a minute, wait. Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but then going to the slap thing with the electric bass, you know, with Marcus Miller influence, like a melody, you know, it's like, okay, and two different drummers, so it was like trying to merge those two. Let me see how this can go, and you know, create a little skit to make it entertaining too, you know. So yeah, that was an experience. Wow, you brought that up. But I haven't thought about that record in a minute.
But when I listened to that record, and also your follow-up record, which is Black Frequencies that we speak about, the way that you play electric, particularly in your voicing these melodies, it's got a really sort of vocal and comfortable kind of sound. And then it made me think more about how when you're playing on the upright, I hear that too. You know, I mean, as the voice, because some people try and do that.
It doesn't come out. So I come from a family of singers. On my dad's side of the family, my aunts, my grandmother, my dad even. Everybody sings, and I've always told myself whenever I interpret a melody or even solo, I want to sing. I wanted to sing, like to make it sound like you said, a voice, and that's one of my key things is just make sure people can feel the intensity that I may have. Like you can play that note like that, but if you stuff like that, you know, you feel it, you know, oh wow, you know, like you know, I'm not classically trained. Like I said, I don't have I never really had a teacher formally like sit there and tell me you're not playing that right. You know, you got to use this position and thumb position. I'm like a street player, like somebody that almost like, I'm not gonna say I taught myself, but like getting through this instrument, I spent more hours just listening than I have playing. Like it's like I just want to get to that point, and you know, just I'm still growing to this day.
What about the technical side, putting it together though? Playing, did you practice, and do you practice scales and things?
Yeah.
And like, what does that look like for you?
I mean, I used to sit in front of a TV for hours and just practice with it on mute, like watching Sports Center or sports or anything, and just practice. Even just this, or just move all around.
You seem so comfortable moving around the instrument though.
And then I just do stuff like this. Stuff like that.
Okay. Here's a question for you. This isn't a question I ask everybody. How can I do that? Like what I mean is, like what you're playing there. There's just so my brain is exploding when I'm listening to it. There's all of these there's these lines going on, and it's so sophisticated. But it's like drawing. I don't get lost with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you hear people, whether it's especially on saxophone, sometimes people are kind of throwing out sheets of sound,
yeah.
or maybe not doing it in. But this is like. Those intervals, those fourths that you were playing, and they're kind of moving chromatically or whatever it is. Have you got any advice for someone like a mortal?
Just
have you got? Because I know the people at home will be like, they'll be thinking the same thing as me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I would just get the strength in your left hand.
Yeah.
And then like I'm not moving it. I'm just
just dragging across.
Yep, dragging across.
I love that sound. Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So yeah, it could go, but it came from years of me just sitting in front of the TV and thinking of playing changes. Like I'm playing changes in my head. Like I'm just coming up with random changes and I'm just trying to play over top of them. So. They pick a key and just go sometimes.
It's beautiful. Did you ever get to meet Shawnette Moffett?
I did, and he's another one. Woo, yes, yeah. He's another
I think you're bringing him into the room with this energy that you're playing.
Yeah, he's another one. He. I never heard him play live. Yeah. He heard me playing with Gregory.
Oh wow.
A couple of times, and every time he saw me, he would just come up to me and give me encouraging words and say, "Man, I love your playing, and you know you sound great, and man, you're making the bass sing." And I was like, man, thank you so much for those kind words and everything.
Isn't it amazing? All these people that we meet along the way, whether it's like, you know, back to John Brown and your father, of course, you know, and they help you on this. They help you on this journey, and then
yes, sir.
Next minute you're in the Royal Albert Hall or Carnegie Hall.
Man, dude, multiple times too. You know, so it's like, dude, and I get to play. Like I played bass solos with the orchestras here, like the London Symphony Orchestra, when we played Royal Albert Hall with the One Night Only DVD.
Oh wow!
And I played a solo on Gregory's song "When Love Was King," and it's just like with 75 strings behind you.
What a feeling!
Playing, and it's like, man, wait a minute. Yes, it is in Royal Albert Hall. So it's like, man.
So just before we wrap up, I mean, people at home will be kind of thinking like. Maybe they're on the start of their journey. Maybe they're getting out there and playing some gigs and making connections and things. Have you got any kind of words of maybe encouragement or advice for somebody who's like a younger player who's starting out? Yeah,
I would say don't give up. Never doubt yourself. We have a tendency to doubt ourselves as growing up, and just as we grow in this music and on the instrument, you have tendencies to doubt yourself, and I've had that too. Don't stop. Always have your ears open. Listen to what the elders are telling you. Don't take offense to what they're telling you. They're just trying to help you because they believe in you. Because if they didn't believe in you, they wouldn't have said anything to you. So keep going. Press forward. Check out as many records and genres of music that you can. Don't just stick to just one genre. Stick to, check out R&B, check out hip hop, check out bluegrass, check out jazz, check out classical, check out any salsa. you know, anything in between, Afrobeat, all that stuff. Check it out. You know, I would say that would, you know, that would give you a good palette to go off of, because, you know, you never know what somebody might be feeling in the song, especially in recording sessions, because they were like, you know, Gregory might be like, okay, I want it to be like a groove like Liquid Spirit. Which could go in so many different directions, because you could use that for like a New Orleans type, you know. You know, something like that.
But it's having no doubt. You know, if you mention James Jamerson, and when I hear you play, it's no doubt you're saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to be direct, especially playing bass.
Okay.
Especially playing bass, you're part of the foundation of the band. So you're part of that blanket that, especially playing with singers, they need that blanket to lay down on. You know, and sometimes they will give you the liberty to move around more. But it's something, if you know, like take me to the album. Then that way he can get his message across. Even though, and all I say bass lines are counter melodies to the melody. That's how I look at bass line. It's like the bass line has to sing just like the melody of the song has to sing.
That's really wonderful advice. I mean, I'm so thrilled that you come to join us. I mean, one last bit, people always ask, bass players love talking about basses, you know. Tell me about your instrument at home. What do you like to play? What kind of double bass you play back
Okay,
at
so
home?
I have a 200-year-old French bass.
What in terms of strings are you going for?
Right now I use obligatos.
Oh, cool. I like those.
I like
those a lot.
They have a great presence to them. Like even these remind me of those, but it's like, it has a more so like treble, high, mid range on it. So it's like, okay, cool.
I like the way they feel.
Yes,
they've got a kind of springiness, and it's something that feels really comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't like tight action.
Yeah.
It's like, because you don't get the full, like you could bounce. Like I need to bounce off of the strings, you know. But some people do like it. So.
And how about amplifiers and pickups and microphones? Ear trumpets? Are you rocking the ear trumpets?
I'm rocking the ear trumpet, lab mics, and I use that for like home recordings and live.
You use it at home as well?
I do. And it has a very distinct sound when I use it at home too. Like, because I have everything closed in, and I use that, and I use just a regular condenser whenever so just the condensers for the finger sound, and the body, it picks up the body so good. So during the live shows, even with Gregory, in the big arenas and stuff, and big theaters, I use the ear trumpet lab as well. Amplifier, I'm with Mark Bass.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I love the stuff that they're doing over there, because I could jump between electric and upright and not change anything on the settings. With Gregory, I use an AB switch, the EBS Stanley Clark.
Oh yeah, very cool.
I love that pedal, man. It's like, yes, I can dial in each bass the way I need to. Yeah. Pickups, mainly at home I use the Gauge stuff, but also the the Planet Wing is a great pickup, man, because it gives you a mixture of that mid-range from the Fishman side of the sounding of pickups to the Gauge with the lower mid stuff and the more round sound. So you get a good balance, and it's easy to install. You know, you can remove it and put it back on any bass. So I carry that just in case the pickup that I use doesn't work. Electric bass wise, I have my own signature model with Anaconda basses out of London.
Beautiful instrument.
And it is. So and with that, it has Bartolini, everything in it. So, you know, and I'm also with Dunlop strings also.
Yeah,
so,
they make great bass guitar strings, that's for sure. Well, listen, you know, on behalf of everyone watching at home, on behalf of everyone here, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your music. And we didn't speak about Black Frequencies. Where can people go? Is that the record that you want to share with people?
Yes,
people want to learn more about you. What should they? Where should they go? Is that?
Yes, it's everywhere. Everywhere where music is, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere. I'm actually coming out with a new record, hopefully this year, like around about the fall. Like right after the summertime, and I actually changed the name of the record is Black Frequencies, but I also named my band that too.
Cool.
So it's be Jahmal Nichols and Black Frequencies.
Well, I'd recommend that everyone goes and checks out. I've been listening to The Journey with Malcolm Jamal Warner,
yes,
who I know is a lover of the bass as well.
Yes, he's a bassist also. Yeah, man.
As well as being a star in his own right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that was a crazy story meeting him. We were met in passing in Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, in the airport. He was going to his gate. I was going to my gate, and they were like, "Dude, man, we got to work together." And it's been like that ever since.
What a joy! What a joy! Isn't it crazy? So listen, thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see this show.
I appreciate you,
I'm looking forward to seeing you with Gregory.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be great.
We're going to have fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
I mean, it's the bass. It makes me play like that. So, hey, man. Beautiful, man. Hey, man. It's a beautiful thing.